The Andromedan Empire crushed entire civilizations beneath its boot, slaughtering trillions as it conquered the galaxy for 500,000 years. But they were about to face an enemy unlike any before, the humans of the United Earth Federation. In his quarters aboard the UES Resilience, Admiral Jake Adams jerked awake as a shrill alarm pierced the air. He leapt out of bed and slammed a fist on the comm panel. A grainy image of his exo-commander Takeshi Sato appeared, his face grim. "Sir, long-range scans just picked up a massive Andromedan armada led by Warlord Korvac himself. They launched a surprise attack on our outer colonies. Casualty reports already in the millions and climbing fast." Jake's blood ran cold. He had studied Korvac, the brilliant and ruthless tactician who had crushed 1,000 worlds. And now the warlord was coming for Earth, commanding an invasion fleet that eclipsed anything the Federation had ever seen. Humanity's survival hung by a thread. Jake swallowed hard, knowing what he had to do. The Resilience battle group had to buy time, bleeding the Andromedan advance until Earth could mount a desperate defense. They were hopelessly outnumbered and outgunned. This was a suicide mission. Jake left his quarters and strode onto the bridge, his face hard as steel. Klaxons blared as the crew scrambled to battle stations. He opened a fleet-wide channel, his voice booming across every ship. "This is Admiral Adams. The Andromedan Empire has come to wipe humanity from the stars. But this is our home, and we will make them pay in blood for every inch. Today we show them what humans are made of. This is the day their 500,000-year reign of terror comes to an end, one way or another. All ships, battle formations, Resilience leads the attack." Shapes shifted on the view screen as the human ships surged forward, hurtling toward the Andromedan horde and an unknown fate. The gilded doors to Korvac's throne room slid open with a hiss. Sub-Overlord Xerax marched in, his armored boots clanking against the polished obsidian floor. The warlord himself sat upon an elevated dais, his eyes fixed on a holographic star map hovering before him. Red icons marked the positions of the mighty Andromedan armada as it surged across human space. Xerax halted at the foot of the dais and dropped to one knee, bowing his head. "My lord, I bring news of our invasion." Korvac's gaze remained on the star map. "Speak." "All goes exactly as you have foreseen. The human colonies of Proxima, Arcturus, and Rigel have fallen. Their defenses were pitiful. We slaughtered their meager resistance to the last man." A dismissive wave of Korvac's hand. "I expected nothing less. They are but insects before us." "Indeed, sire. Soon the whole of UEF space shall be ours." Xerax hesitated. "There is one other matter." Korvac's eyes narrowed. "Oh?" "We intercepted a transmission from an incoming human battle group, the UES Resilience and her escorts." The warlord leaned forward, his interest piqued. "Put it through." Xerax tapped a command into his wrist unit. A human voice, defiant and proud, filled the throne room. "This is Admiral Adams. The Andromedan Empire has come to wipe humanity from the stars. But this is our home, and we will make them pay in blood for every inch. Today we show them what humans are made of. This is the day their 500,000-year reign of terror comes to an end, one way or another. All ships, battle formations, Resilience leads the attack." Korvac threw his head back and laughed, a deep, menacing sound. "How precious! This human thinks he can stand against us." He rose from his throne, his eyes glinting with malice. "Ready, my ship. I will personally lead the fleet to confront this impudent fool. It is time humanity learned the price of defiance." Xerax slammed a fist to his chest in salute. "As you command, warlord." Korvac turned back to the star map, a cruel smile playing across his lips. For 500,000 years, the Andromedan Empire had ground entire civilizations to dust beneath its heel. These upstart Terrans would fare no better. He would make an example of this Admiral Adams, and all would know the folly of challenging Andromedan supremacy. Proximity alarms blared across the bridge of the UES Resilience, red lights flashing in warning. Sensor Officer Lieutenant Kenji Nakamura's hands flew over his console, his eyes widening at the readings. He spun in his chair to face Admiral Adams. Sir, the Andromedan Armada just dropped out of warp in the Gamma Crucis system. Scans show they outnumber us, 10-1. Kenji swallowed hard. Warlord Korvac's flagship, the Inexorable, is leading the charge. The bridge crew exchanged nervous glances, the weight of the odds settling heavy in the air. But Jake Adams remained a pillar of calm resolve. He stared at the tactical display, watching the red icons of the enemy fleet bear down on their position. His mind raced, analyzing, calculating. Then he nodded, a plan crystallizing. All right, people, listen up. We're going to assume a defensive formation around the colony planet. But here's the kicker. I want all ships to link their reactors and create a massive resonance field. Takeshi frowned. A resonance field, sir? We've never used that tech in combat before. Jake grinned. Exactly. Which means the Andromedans have never seen it either. The field will disrupt their shield harmonics, making them vulnerable to our weapons. Understanding dawned on Takeshi's face, quickly replaced by concern. But, sir, sustaining the field will require us to remain stationary. We'll be sitting ducks. Sometimes the best defense is a strong offense, XO. Jake clasped Takeshi's shoulder. We have to hit them with something they won't expect. It's our only chance. He turned to the crew. You have your orders. Let's show these bastards what humans are made of. The bridge erupted into action as officers relayed commands and crewmen scrambled to their stations. The ships of the battle group moved into formation, their hulls gleaming in the light of the star. Power conduits hummed as reactors strained, feeding energy into the resonance projectors. Slowly, a shimmering field began to emanate from the human fleet, enveloping them in a pulsing cocoon of energy. On the view screen, the Andromedan Armada grew larger, an inexorable tide of destruction. Jake settled into his command chair, his eyes hard as he watched the enemy approach. The Resilience shuddered as the resonance field reached full strength, the deck plates thrumming with barely contained power. There was no turning back now. The fate of humanity would be decided here, in the fires of Gamma Crucis. Jake whispered a silent prayer to the stars, then gave the order that would begin the battle for their very survival. All ships open fire! On the bridge of the Inexorable, Warlord Korvac's eyes narrowed as he watched the human ships on the viewscreen. They moved into a defensive formation around the colony planet, just as countless foes had done before. But then something strange happened. The ships began to link together, their hulls shimmering with an ethereal glow. Zorax, what are they doing? Korvac demanded, leaning forward in his command chair. The chief analyzer's hands danced across his console, his face awash in the pulsing light emanating from the human fleet. My lord, the humans have activated some kind of resonance field. It's... Zorax's voice trailed off, his eyes widening in disbelief. It's what? It's disrupting our shields, sire. Our harmonics are in complete disarray. Korvac felt a flicker of something he hadn't experienced in eons. Surprise. In all his centuries of conquest, no adversary had ever found a way to counter Andromedan's shield technology. It was the linchpin of their military superiority, the reason they had stood unchallenged for 500,000 years. And yet, these humans, these upstarts who had only recently taken their first tentative steps into the stars, had somehow unraveled one of the Empire's most closely guarded secrets. Korvac found himself grudgingly impressed. All ships, hold position, he ordered, ignoring the confused looks from his bridge crew. They were accustomed to crushing their enemies swiftly and without mercy, but Korvac sensed that the humans were different. They warranted further study. He turned to his communications officer. Open a channel to the human flagship. I would speak with this Admiral Adams directly. The viewscreen shimmered, and the image of a human male appeared. He had close-cropped hair and a square jaw set in determination. Korvac could see the steel in his eyes, the resolve of a leader who would do whatever it took to protect his people. Admiral Jake Adams, I presume? Korvac said, inclining his head in a gesture of respect. Jake's eyebrows rose in surprise. He clearly hadn't expected to be addressed by name. Warlord Korvac, I've heard a great deal about you. And are you, Admiral? Your reputation precedes you. Korvac leaned back in his chair, steepling his fingers. I must admit, I find myself impressed by your resonance field technology. In all my years, I have never encountered anything like it. A ghost of a smile played across Jake's lips. We humans are full of surprises. Indeed. Korvac paused, considering his next words carefully. Admiral, I propose a temporary truce between our forces. I wish to come aboard your ship to meet with you in person, to learn more about the beings who have accomplished what no others could. Jake's eyes narrowed in suspicion. And why should I trust you, Warlord? Your kind has a reputation for treachery. You have my word, Admiral. I will come alone and unarmed. I seek only knowledge, not conquest, at least not today. There was a long moment of silence as Jake weighed his options. Korvac could practically see the gears turning in his head, the calculation of risk versus reward. Finally, Jake nodded. Very well, Warlord, I agree to your terms, but know this. If you betray us, there will be no place in the galaxy you can hide from our retribution. Korvac smiled, a predator's grin. I would expect nothing less, Admiral. I look forward to our meeting. As the viewscreen went blank, Korvac leaned back in his chair, his mind racing with possibilities. The humans had proven themselves a worthy adversary, a challenge he had not faced in centuries. Perhaps there was more to them than met the eye. He would have to tread carefully, to probe for weaknesses and uncover the secrets of their technology. But one thing was certain. The Andromedan Empire would never be the same after this encounter. With a final glance at the shimmering resonance field, Korvac rose from his chair and strode towards the shuttle bay, ready to face the unknown. Jake strode into the secure conference room, his eyes immediately locking onto the imposing figure of Warlord Korvac. The Andromedan leader sat at the opposite end of the table, his posture relaxed, but his gaze sharp and calculating. Jake took his seat, flanked by two armed guards who kept their weapons trained on Korvac. Admiral Adams, Korvac began, his voice smooth as silk, thank you for agreeing to this meeting. I trust you find the accommodations satisfactory. Jake leaned back in his chair, his expression guarded. Let's skip the pleasantries, Warlord. You wanted to talk, so talk. Korvac chuckled, a low rumble in his chest. Straight to the point. I like that about you, Admiral, very well. He leaned forward, steepling his fingers. I'll be blunt. The Andromedan Empire has conquered countless civilizations over the millennia, but you humans, you're different. You've shown a resourcefulness and tenacity that we've rarely encountered. Jake raised an eyebrow. Is that supposed to be a compliment? Take it however you wish. The point is, I've come to see your species as a potential ally rather than just another conquest. An ally, Jake scoffed. And what could possibly make you think we'd ever align ourselves with the likes of you? Korvac's eyes narrowed. Because, Admiral, there is a threat out there that dwarfs even the might of the Andromedan Empire, a race of extragalactic invaders known as the Void Reapers. Jake felt a chill run down his spine at the name. He had heard whispers of the Void Reapers, of their insatiable hunger and their technology that defied known physics, but he had always dismissed them as mere rumors, the stuff of spacer tales and drunken ramblings. I see you've heard of them, Korvac said, noting Jake's reaction. Then you know the danger they pose. Even we Andromedans fear them, and that is why I propose an alliance between our peoples. Together, we may stand a chance of surviving the coming storm. Jake shook his head in disbelief. You expect us to trust you? After everything your kind has done, the worlds you've burned, the lives you've destroyed. Korvac spread his hands. I offer you the full might of Andromedan technology and knowledge, Admiral. The secrets of our shields, our weapons, our propulsion systems, all of it yours to use as you see fit. All I ask in return is your assistance in defending against the Void Reapers. Jake fell silent, his mind racing. The offer was tempting, dangerously so. With Andromedan technology, the UEF could become a power to rival any in the galaxy. But the price, to ally with the very beings who had slaughtered countless humans. Could he make that choice? Before he could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship, red lights flashing in warning. Jake's comm crackled to life. Letter Nakamura's panicked voice filling the room. Admiral, sensors are detecting a massive fleet emerging from hyperspace. It's my God, it's the Void Reapers. They're attacking both our ships and the Andromedans. Jake shot to his feet, his eyes meeting Korvac's. The Andromedan warlord smiled grimly. It seems the choice has been made for us, Admiral. Shall we show these abominations the folly of challenging our combined might? Jake hesitated for only a moment before nodding. To the bridge. If we're going to fight these bastards, we'll do it side by side. The battle that followed was like nothing Jake had ever experienced. The Void Reaper ships were monstrous things, all jagged edges and pulsing, sickly light. They tore through the human and Andromedan fleets like a scythe through wheat, their weapons cutting ships apart with ease. But the alliance held strong. Jake and Korvac led the charge, their ships darting through the enemy ranks, guns blazing. The Resilience shuddered as it took hit after hit, but Jake pushed her harder, his crew pouring everything they had into the fight. Yet still the Void Reapers came, their numbers seemingly endless. Jake watched in horror as ship after ship fell, human and Andromedan alike. They were losing, he realized, with a sinking feeling. Even with their combined strength, they could not hope to prevail against such an onslaught. Unless... Jake's eyes fell on the resonance field generator, the device that had given them their one advantage against the Andromedans. If he could overload it, create a massive shockwave. It would be suicide. The resulting blast would tear the Resilience apart, along with any ship caught in its radius, but it might just be enough to turn the tide. Jake opened a comm channel to the fleet. All ships, this is Admiral Adams. Fall back to the following coordinates and prepare for a resonance field overload. I repeat, fall back and prepare for overload. Takeshi's voice crackled over the comm, strained with emotion. Jake, what are you doing? That's... I know, Takeshi, but it's the only way. Jake swallowed hard. It's been an honor serving with you, my friend, with all of you. He cut the comm before Takeshi could respond, then turned to his crew. Initiate overload sequence. Divert all power to the resonance field generator. As his crew scrambled to comply, Jake felt a hand on his shoulder. He turned to see Korvac, his face grim. A brave choice, Admiral. A noble sacrifice. One that will be remembered by both our peoples. Jake nodded, a lump in his throat. Let's just hope it's enough. Together, they watched as the resonance field generator began to glow, brighter and brighter until it was almost blinding. The Resilience shook violently, warning klaxons blaring as the ship tore itself apart. And then, with a final deafening roar, the generator exploded. A wave of shimmering energy expanding outward in all directions. It slammed into the Void Reaper fleet like a hammer blow, ships disintegrating by the dozen as the shockwave tore through their ranks. When the light faded, an eerie silence fell over the battlefield. The Void Reapers were gone, reduced to drifting clouds of debris. But so too were the Resilience and most of the human and Andromedan ships. In the ruins of the Resilience's bridge, Jake lay slumped against a shattered console, blood trickling from a gash on his forehead. He looked up as Korvac limped into view, the Andromedan's once pristine armor battered and scorched. We did it, Jake croaked, his voice barely above a whisper. We won. Korvac nodded, sinking to the floor beside him. A costly victory, but a victory nonetheless. Your sacrifice will not be forgotten, Admiral. Jake managed a weak smile. Nor will yours, Warlord. I never thought I'd say this, but it's been an honor fighting alongside you. Korvac clasped Jake's hand in his own, a gesture of respect between warriors. The honor was mine, Admiral Adams, the honor was mine. And there, in the shattered remnants of their ships, a human and an Andromedan sat side by side, bound by a fragile alliance forged in the fires of war. The future was uncertain, the challenges ahead daunting, but for now, in this moment, they had achieved the impossible. They had won, and that was enough. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.